What's going on, people? It's me, TheRealMossi, with another Battlefield 3 review and tips video for you. This time we're going to take a look at the mysterious ECM Jammer. So let's get started. Okay, so the ECM Jammer is one of 3 vehicle gadgets in aircraft, the other 2 being the IR flares and the extinguisher. You need 44,000 experience points to unlock it in attack helicopters, 48,000 experience points to unlock it in scout helicopters, and 35,000 XP to unlock it in jets. Based on the amount of experience points you need to unlock it, you can tell that this is a very late aircraft unlock. So if you do all that work to unlock this thing, it must be good, right? Hell yeah, it is. Post-patch, the ECM Jammer eclipses the IR flares, and I'm going to tell you why. But let's start at the beginning. What exactly does the ECM Jammer do, and how is it different from the IR flares? The main purpose of the ECM Jammer is to break a lock-on and prevent further lock-ons while it's active. The ECM Jammer works on a 10-second cycle. If you deploy it, you'll have to wait 10 seconds to deploy it again. During those 10 seconds, the ECM Jammer will actively prevent lock-on for the first 5 seconds and leave you vulnerable to lock-on for the last 5 seconds. So to sum things up, once you pop it, it'll prevent lock-on for the first 5 seconds, and then you'll be vulnerable to lock-on in the last 5 seconds while it's still cooling down. So for the most part, it's best to pop the ECM Jammer before the enemy fires his missile. So when you hear the long beep indicating the enemy's completed his lock-on, that's when you should pop the ECM Jammer, or even slightly before that if you want to be really cautious. So the ECM Jammer is most reliable if you pop it before the enemy fires his missiles. But even if you wait till after the enemy fires his missile to pop the ECM Jammer, there's still a chance that you'll be protected. How? Well, the answer is in the puff of smoke, also known as the shaft cloud, that's released when you deploy the ECM Jammer. If you can get an enemy missile to travel through the shaft cloud, it'll get disoriented and miss your aircraft. This is similar to how IR flares deter missiles, except with the ECM Jammer, the missiles must travel through the shaft cloud in order to be deterred. And this doesn't happen all the time, so it's not as reliable. It actually works better in jets than in choppers. If you're in a jet, it's very likely that a missile will approach you from behind since jets are very fast. So if you pop your ECM Jammer when the missile's right on your tail, there's an excellent chance that the missile will go through the shaft cloud. The chances are not as great when you're in a chopper, because most of the time you're not traveling in a straight line when you're in a chopper. Choppers tend to have a more vertical, up and down motion. So let's say you're in a chopper battle with an enemy chopper and he's moving around, because usually choppers don't stand still while you lock onto them, unless of course they're beginners. So you're going to have to move horizontally and vertically to keep the enemy chopper in your sights in order to lock onto him. When you're moving around like that and you pop your ECM Jammer, there's a very good chance that you'll leave the safety of the shaft cloud and be open to the missile. In this situation, you've decreased the chances of the missile traveling through the shaft cloud on its way to you. So there's a much smaller chance that the oncoming missile would be deterred by the shaft cloud. This is why the ECM Jammer is not as reliable at deterring missiles once they've been fired. And this is why you can't use the ECM Jammer like you would use the IR flares. So it's best to use the ECM Jammer for its intended purpose, and that is to prevent a lock-on. The ECM Jammer is very consistent when it comes to breaking lock-on and preventing further lock-on during the 5 seconds that it's active. So pop the ECM Jammer when you hear the long beep indicating a completed enemy lock-on, and try to pop it before he actually fires the missile. Once you pop it, nothing can lock onto you for 5 seconds. During those 5 seconds, you should either fly away from the area or dive down close to the ground. Diving down will activate below radar, which you'll have unlocked already if you've gotten all the way to ECM Jammer. Below radar will protect you from further lock-on when flying at low altitudes while your ECM Jammer is in its cool down phase. Once the ECM Jammer is ready to use again, you can fly back up and resume killing, and then repeat the process if you find yourself being locked onto again. This works even better if you have a gunner with a set of flares equipped. The pilot's ECM Jammer plus below radar and the gunner's IR flares is an unstoppable combination. Now, if you wait till the missiles are fired to pop the ECM Jammer, make sure you stay within the shaft cloud to protect yourself. If you're away from the jammer shaft cloud, position yourself at an angle that would force the oncoming missile to travel through the shaft cloud on its way to you. This is easier said than done. That's why you should try to pop it before he actually fires his missile. Well, that's it guys. I hope I've cleared up some of your confusion about the ECM jammer. If you want an in-depth look at below radar or the IR flares, check out the videos on screen. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe if you want more. I put some extra buttons on screen to make it easier for you. Thanks again. I'm TheRealMossi. Tell your friends about me.